A judge looked at a father in a courtroom today and said 4 words that will echo across America for years. You failed as a parent. Today, July 30th, 2026. Colin Gray was sentenced for his role in one of the most devastating school shootings in recent American history. His son Colt Gray carried out a mass shooting at Appalachia High School in Georgia. 4 people were killed, 9 others were injured, and Colin Gray, the father who prosecutors say could have stopped it, now faces the consequences of what he failed to do. This is one of the most important true crime stories of 2026. Because it asks a question America has never fully answered. When a child commits an act of mass violence, how much responsibility does a parent bear? Appalachia High School is located in Winder, Georgia, a small community where people knew their neighbors and trusted that their children were safe at school. On September 4, 2024, that sense of safety was destroyed forever. Colt Gray, a 14-year-old student, walked into Appalachia High School armed with a rifle. He opened fire. By the time it was over, 4 people were dead. 2 of them were students. 2 of them were teachers. 9 more people were wounded. The entire community of Winder was left in shock. And investigators immediately began asking how a 14-year-old had access to a weapon capable of causing that kind of destruction. The answer led them directly to Colin Gray. Colin Gray is Colt Gray's father. And prosecutors allege that Colin had given his son access to the AR-style rifle used in the shooting. They allege that Colin knew his son was struggling. That there had been warning signs. That people around Colt had expressed concern about his state of mind and his behavior in the period leading up to the shooting. And they allege that despite all of this, Colin Gray did nothing to secure the weapon or address the danger his son posed. This case immediately drew comparisons to another landmark case in American true crime. The case of James Crumbley. James Crumbley was the father of Ethan Crumbley, who carried out a mass shooting at Oxford High School in Michigan in 2021. James Crumbley was convicted of involuntary manslaughter and sentenced to prison. That conviction sent a powerful message across America. Parents can be held criminally responsible when their children commit acts of mass violence if they failed to take reasonable steps to prevent it. Colin Gray's case takes that principle even further. Because prosecutors pursued charges that carried potentially more serious consequences than what James Crumbley faced. Colin Gray was convicted for failing to act. For failing to secure his weapon. For failing to get his son the help he needed. For failing to prevent a catastrophe that everyone around Colt Gray could see coming. And today in that Georgia courtroom, a judge made sure Colin Gray understood the weight of what that failure cost. You failed as a parent. 4 families are now living with the consequences of that failure every single day. 2 sets of parents who sent their children to school that morning and never saw them come home. 2 teachers who showed up to work to educate and protect students and paid for it with their lives. 9 other people who survived but will carry the trauma of that day forever. And an entire community that will never feel the same sense of safety it once had. The sentencing of Colin Gray has reignited a national debate about gun access, parental responsibility, and what America must do to prevent school shootings. Some people believe prosecuting parents is the right step. That if parents know they can face prison for giving their children access to weapons, they will be more careful. That accountability at the family level is the only way to stop tragedies like Appalachia before they happen. Others argue that prosecuting parents is unfair. That it is impossible to predict what a child will do. That grief-stricken families should not be turned into criminals on top of everything else they are already facing. But victims, advocates and survivors of school shootings have a different perspective entirely. They say that warning signs are almost always there. That in case after case, people around the shooter saw something concerning and did not act. That weapons in the hands of troubled young people is a preventable problem. And that someone must be held accountable. The sentencing of Colin Gray will not bring back the 4 people who died at Appalachia High School. It will not undo the trauma suffered by the 9 people who were wounded. It will not give the community of Winder back the sense of safety it lost on September 4, 2024. But it sends a message. A clear and powerful message to every parent in America. Know where your weapons are. Know what your children are going through. Pay attention to the warning signs. Because if you do not, and something terrible happens, you may find yourself standing in a courtroom while a judge looks you in the eyes and tells you that you failed. The Appalachia High School shooting is a tragedy that America must never forget. 4 lives cut short, a community forever changed, and a father who will now live with the consequences of what he did not do. If this story affected you, subscribe to Unsolved America for more real investigations, breaking verdicts, and important true crime cases from across the nation. New videos every single week. And tell us in the comments below. Do you think parents should face criminal charges when their children commit acts of mass violence? Or do you believe the responsibility lies somewhere else?